which is frequent questions concerning chanting, is avoiding offenses. Here, the first section of this particular chapter, is living a positive spiritual life. The question is, how can offenses be avoided? Answer: in order to become free from offenses, one should ultimately begin to lead a positive spiritual life. One who is always afraid of committing offenses, thus continuously meditating on them, will not really advance in chanting. The following story illustrates this point. This is quite interesting and very important. The more what we more concentrate on, that's what we are going to be doing in our life. So if we think about offenses all the time, then we're prone to commit mistakes. Okay, Maharaj is giving a beautiful story here. In a forest, a millipede could dance wonderfully. Uh, Millipede is a is a, a small insect which has maybe hundreds of legs. I don't know what it's called in other language. I know in Tamil what it's called. Um, anyway, I can send a picture if you don't know what that means, or you can look it up on the net. It's Millipede, millipede. A toad that was observing his dancing became envious and decided to stop the millipede. However, she did not want to just come along and clumsily trample him down, so she conceived of a devious plan. The toad wrote a letter to Millipede. My dear Millipede, you are certainly the best dancer in the entire forest, and in your dancing all the fine arts of the whole universe are reflected. I have, however, a question. When you are dancing, do you lift first the 52nd foot and then shift to the other side of the 56th foot? Or do you begin by softly rolling your 200th foot and then go back to the 150th foot? How exactly do you perform your dance? That is my question. Yours sincerely, humble servant, the Toad from the bog. The millipede read the letter carefully, and the next time when he came to the dancing place where all the forest animals, by the way, Maharaj does not say your humble servant. I just added here because sometimes we also say I'm your humble servant and we sign letters and emails with humble servant, but our behaviors may not be the same, like this Todd. It just says you sincerely. Anyway, so Millipede read the letter carefully, and the next time when he came to the dancing place where all the forest animals had already gathered, he became embarrassed. Instead of just dancing as usual, he thought, do I start with the 52nd foot or do I roll slowly from the 200th foot ahead? How do I exactly perform my dancing? As he was fully entangled in his thought, he could not dance anymore. He began to stagger and to stumble. What is the matter? Asked the forest animals in amazement. The Toad had attained her objective. So it's a beautiful small story, um, where we focus on the positive thing rather than focusing on the negative things. The more we focus on negative, we are not going to come out of it. That's a message here. What actually was the matter is called paralysis through analysis. Being paralyzed by thinking too much. One who is continuously absorbed in various thoughts, always living with the fear to commit offenses, will not be able to chant properly. This principle, by the way, affects the whole life. To be always afraid of negative things, thus meditating on all kinds of possible mistakes, makes it very difficult to follow the path of Krishna consciousness. The injunction is think of Krishna only that will bring us out of Maya. Therefore, it is essential for every devotee to live a positive spiritual life beyond the constant anxiety of how to avoid offenses. The best is to reverse the offenses and consider them in a positive light. For instance, instead of chanting, thinking of how to avoid blaspheming the Vaishnavas, we should develop. Please concentrate on this one. This is nice. Maharaj is giving solution how to approach things. For instance, instead of constantly thinking of how to avoid blaspheming Vaishnavas, we should develop high appreciation for them and serve them. Instead of only theoretically accepting the holy name as identical with Krishna and as the supreme, we should always chant with great joy and devotion. Instead of meditating on not being able to follow the orders of the Guru, we should recognize the Guru as our best friend and appreciate how nice it is to surrender our lives to him. Referring to the fourth offense, it is not enough to just avoid defiling the Vedic scriptures. We should rather read the scriptures every day and try to absorb each transcendental word of the Shastras into our daily life. We should generally free ourselves from the concept of sin and lead a saintly life instead. The beautiful point of being more positive than being more negative. Um, that's the message here. Let's see if there's any discussions on this particular topic. Hare Krishna. That does not mean to say that we should not be careful of not about the offenses, but we just don't want to be continuously meditating on those things. When you're dealing with devotees, we should not be, it's not that we should not be careful how we speak, how we behave, and that's all by default we have to be proper. But then constantly thinking about those things while we are chanting and while we are doing other things is not necessary. Rather, start seeing things, appreciating on the positive aspect. Then when that happens, our chanting will become better and the negative things will go away.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare,
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu, like my understanding from this is like knowingly versus unknowingly committing offenses, right, Prabhu? Knowingly committing offenses is something which is definitely bad and causes us most definitely it has negative impact. Whereas unknowingly committing offenses, like probably we can learn from it after the incident. Right. I mean, it also it suggests that we are growing in spirituality, whatever stage we are in, right? So probably that is the understanding, Prabhu, from this.
Yeah, that is also an understanding, but there are sometimes um, devotees constantly, this is the action part you're talking about, whereas there are devotees who are constantly thinking about offenses, um, committing offenses, continuously meditating on just the offensive part, too much into, should I do this or should I do that, um, or thinking about, for example, um, chanting the holy name on the strength of the committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, right? So we commit sinful activities, or thinking about, will I do this sin, will I do that sin, will I break the principles, constantly thinking about all those things is not necessary, because you can rather focus that time in thinking about the positive aspect of appreciating the chanting, appreciating the process of Krishna consciousness, things like that. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a focus on this particular aspect. Um, will I commit that sin? Will I commit this sin? And yes, we all constantly, somehow or the other, knowingly, unknowingly, we keep committing sins. But then the only thing is to grow on a positive aspect rather than negativity. And that's why Maharaj is given this beautiful story of Millipede, where it's just the small creature which has hundreds and thousands of foot. It just crawls and walks, right? So it's just happy by itself, doing the best dance, and everyone appreciated. But then we started thinking about influence of a negative, the influence of the negative thing came. Then he started focusing on the details of this or that. He was happy chap, but then it's all changed. That's the
Yes,
thing
Prabhu.
Raju was giving.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
This sentence is very nice. What actually was the matter called paralysis through analysis, being paralyzed by thinking too much. We have to think, but it has a limit how much we have to think. Okay, if there's no other questions or discussions, we have 3 minutes. I can do another session, another part. Realizing Krishna while chanting. Question. I have heard that one who chants with offenses only hears the syllables of the holy name externally, that the Lord does not enter personally in the form of a sound vibration. Is this true? E- uh, Answer. Yes. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually states Nama, Nama, Namakshara, Namakshara Bahir Hai, Nama Hai, Nahi Hai. Simply reciting mechanically the syllable of holy name does not really means chanting the holy name. We need Krishna's mercy so that he will appear being attracted to a sincere loving chanting. Srila Prabhupada writes that it is only the mercy of the Lord that enables one to perform devotional service properly. Just imagine when Draupadi was being tried to be stripped off in the assembly over there. Just imagine Draupadi was chanting inattentively. What would have happened? Uh, would Krishna helped her in that situation? She said, Govinda, hey Govinda, Narayana, Madhava. It's just chanting, just verbally by just making her movements, lips movement. But internally, she did not even connect to those names. Then what would have happened at that time? And Gajendra would have just chanted some slokas just for the sake of chanting slokas, but not really connecting to the sloka. What would have happened to Gajendra, right? So these are some examples. So the point here is we need Krishna's mercy so that he will appear being attracted to a sincere, loving chanting. The chanting, this nice word Maharaj has used, is did not say sincere chanting, right? He said sincere, loving chanting. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada writes that it is only the mercy of the Lord that enables one to perform devotional service properly. And this is extract from Prabhupada's purport from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Prabhupada's words. This process of devotional service is a great transcendental science and begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, glories, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead, however, does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. He may endow him with his loving transcendental service. Can anyone tell why Prabhupada says he may instead of giving an assurance he will bestow? Prabhupada used the term called may. If there's an uncertain, it looks like there's some uncertainty whether he will or he may not. Any thoughts on that? When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere effort of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. Any thoughts on why Prabhupada say he may instead of saying he will or he must? You
Hare,
can use that. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it like, as we are learning that, like, we believe that, like, it is, we have to approach Krishna through Guru. Guru has the right, like, Guru is the one who has to recommend us to Krishna, right? Is it why, even though you're directly approaching Krishna, we have to surrender Guru, and then through Guru we have to approach Krishna, right, Prabhu?
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts?
Through Radharani.
Thank you. Through
Hare
Guru
Krishna.
Dharani.
Hare
Right.
Krishna.
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, just my limited thinking, Krishna is independent, and he deserves the right the person may or may not get, and also depends upon the person's karma. Like his maybe previous karmas are like that, that he is have to suffer. He has to suffer, that the Lord is not merciful to him. So maybe that's the reason.
Yes. The first part is the answer. Is Swatantriya. Is Swatantriya is completely independent. He is not bound to any of these conditions and things like that. So he may wish to do whatever he wants to do. And the mood of a devotee should also be the same. It's not a business that because I am sincerely with love chanting the name of Krishna, therefore he will bestow. That's not the mood of a servant. I am doing as a servant supposed to do. But then it is completely up to him because he is swatantriya, independent, completely independent. Whenever he wants to give his mercy, however he wants to give, let him do it. That's the mood that we have to have. Even if you have surrendered through Radharani, even if you surrendered through Guru, that's a mode that as we have to develop that, not into a demanding mode. Therefore, it says he may endow him, but the answer is though we develop this, he will definitely reciprocate to our sincerity. So that's also there. But we don't much speak on that aspect. Rather, we develop the mood of the servant. With your permission, I'll just take another 2 more minutes and want to finish the last section of this particular part. Um, the last line of what I just read is this means that only through the mercy of Lord will the holy name actually appear on the tongue. So that's the thing. Okay, next section. The question is this is regarding the Panchatattva Mahamantra, the power of Panchatattva Mahamantra. Question. It is said that simply by chanting the Panchatattva Mahamantra, all offenses against the chanting of the holy name are nullified. How can this be understood? Answer. It is indeed the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva that enables even the most fallen living entities in Kali Yuga to chant the holy name of the Lord, thereby overcoming offenses. Of course, one should not continue to commit new offenses as soon as the old ones have been forgiven. This is even last paragraph. This is evidently expressed by the story of Jagai and Madai. Before forgiving these two offenders and accepting them as his associates, Lord Chaitanya made two conditions. First, that they should constantly chant the holy name, and second, that they should never commit offenses again. If somebody continues to commit offenses in spite of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associate, the Panchatattva, he may chant. Let me read it. If somebody continues to commit offenses in spite of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, the Panchatattva, he may chant for a long time without achieving the desired result, love of Krishna. So, two things we have to follow at any cost. We don't stop chanting, we chant every day, and that is as is recommended with loving, sincere loving mood. And the second thing is not to offend, commit any offenses. that we should never commit any offenses to any devotees. That finishes this third section of the 7th chapter. And I'll pause here. It's 5:35. Thank you all very much for joining this morning. You all have a wonderful rest of the day, remembering Krishna. And we'll meet again tomorrow, 5 a.m. Central Time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.